Calmer than you are. What's up, everybody? Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com, HawgSports.com. What you guys want to talk about today? You know, it's been hard to do this show just because every time I turn around, there's new information out there. Like I've set the show up a couple times. I was going to do it yesterday. I know I didn't do it after the Missouri game, but it's just like with the transfer portal. I mean, and Arkansas has got more players that have hit the transfer portal, more scholarship players than any other team in the country. I was looking at Texas Tech, by the way, a little bit ago, and it looks like they've got 4. Arkansas is at 21 or 22 right now. The last report that I put out was about Braylon Russell entering the transfer portal. There has been conflicting reports. Mason Choate has also spoken with Braylon, who says he's not entering the transfer portal. Either I'm right or something changed in an instant with like Braylon changed his mind in 5 seconds or something. So we'll see how that plays out. But at least on my reporting end of things, Braylon Russell is expected to enter the transfer portal. And there's a lot. Now, I have to say, and I opened the show with Calmer than you are, because I entered this period, the transfer portal period, knowing that only bad news is coming for a while. So this is the 4th year that we've really been in it. I kind of go back to maybe like 21, the end of the 21 season, like when you had Joe Fouché and Greg Brooks, some of those guys who entered the transfer portal, and everybody was freaking out and irate, no loyalty and all this stuff. And then we kind of entered a phase of like, this is just kind of how college football is. So I entered this knowing that there's going to be only bad news. It has been worse than I expected, and I expected it to be bad. So I'll say this, like there's a lot of people out there who tell me like what I've said and what I think and stuff like that, and I know what I've said. And I'll just be clear on what my stance has been. I entered this football season saying that, in my opinion, Sam Pittman needed to win 8 games. I said that it's not unreasonable for Arkansas fans to expect this program to win 8 games. That's just going 500 in conference and winning your non-conference games. They should have beat Oklahoma State this year. I think that goes without saying. Oklahoma State lost 9 straight after they played Arkansas and then Tulsa. They were a bad team. Arkansas should have won that game. Regardless, that's what I said. And not just like to show the things going, for Sam Pittman, but just like to curb the toxicity that was coming, which was also only curbed last year after 4-8 by the hiring of Bobby Petrino, because it was like, oh, let's see what Bobby can do. That's the only reason that things weren't insane going into this year, because there was actually some momentum building up before the season started. A lot of people, not everybody, will point to media for getting people hyped up. I don't know. I picked them to go 5-7. I said they needed to win 8. I predicted Sam Pittman would probably be fired and that they needed to win 8, and I predicted them to go 5-7. So I don't know what you were looking for from me exactly, but that's what I said at the beginning of the season. Eventually, it was relayed to me that this is the direction that Arkansas will go in, and that's retaining Sam Pittman as long as things didn't go crazy. This is when Arkansas had won 5 games. That's not me saying like that's an endorsement that things should be status quo. But that's what Arkansas decided, that 6-6 was enough. So when the Missouri game was coming up, I looked at that one and I said, they really need to win this one. Like for momentum, to avoid the toxicity that we're seeing right now. A lot of people will say, well, that's just fans on Twitter. That's just people on the internet. Who's not on the internet? Do you know somebody who's not posting on the internet right now? Somebody under 75 years old? I mean, everybody's on the internet. Everybody's expressing their opinions. People are upset with the way things are going. You've got Lane Kiffin out there retweeting a post that says, what did it say? Arkansas is becoming Ole Miss's farm team. And Lane Kiffin retweets that. He deleted it, but he retweeted it. I mean, as I posted in response to that, that's not the first time that Lane Kiffin just said to Arkansas, what are you going to do about it? I mean, they hung up 63. People can say, well, that's just where their playoff thing. They left their starting quarterback in the 4th quarter and racking up 63 points on Arkansas. We're throwing deep balls. I mean, that's just like, we don't really care what you do. And it's Arkansas's job to stop. I'm not saying It's not Arkansas's job to stop Ole Miss. And it's, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that just shows an utter lack of respect. And so does retweeting that. I mean, he's just like, what are you going to do about it? And that's in response to like Arkansas players visiting Ole Miss. You got Luke Haas. Arkansas, there's a good chance Arkansas will play against Luke Haas next year, whether it's Ole Miss or LSU, two places he's visiting this weekend in addition to Alabama. I don't know if he'll go to Alabama or LSU or Ole Miss, but probably one of those three SEC teams. A lot of these guys probably will. Let's look at the portal real quick. And I've got Danny waiting. Danny will come join us here in just a second. But I want to look at the transfer portal. And yes, 21, 22 is a big number. It's a big number, and especially when you don't have any of the positive news. But they're going to go out and get guys that are going to play some players. This isn't meant as any disrespect. They're going to be fine without Caden Henley, without Alex Sanford, without Dylan Haas, without Davion Dozier, without Dallas Young, without Eli Stein, of course, who'd already quit the team. They're going to be fine without Carson Dean. Yeah, I mean, that's the main guy. Amari Wiggins, they'll be fine. Ty Washington, Varkey's Gums were already kicked off the team. Jaden Wilson left in the middle of the season. They're going to be fine without those guys. I don't like the tight end numbers, so they're going to have to address that. But they're going to there's a million guys out there as good or better than those players. No disrespect to them. I'm just saying what it is. I'm just speaking plainly here. Losing Selman Bridges, think about the effort that it took to get that guy here. I think he was the second-rated recruit in the class last year. Probably cost some coin. Think about what it took to get him here. You develop him, you play him some this year sparingly, and then he leaves on you. And he's going to end up at a good school. Who else? I like Davion Dozier, too. I think he had a future. He never played. I think he played in one game. Tevis Metcalf, I think, is a guy with a really bright future. I think it stinks to lose Tevis and TJ Metcalf. Those are guys that it'll be a challenge to go. They can go find guys as good, but it's going to be a challenge to go find guys as good. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be extra effort to go find guys on the open market, which is usually more expensive. And maybe that's one reason that they wanted to enter, because people are telling these guys a lot of things. I mean, the players in college football are hearing a lot of stuff. And apparently Arkansas players are very well coveted despite 6-6. I think Arkansas underperformed this year based on what I ultimately saw with the roster. Predicting 5-7, but what we see throughout the year with this team, Arkansas underperformed because they had too many penalties, too many in-game mistakes, and too many turnovers. Like, you can't have 10 turnovers at Missouri. You can't fumble the ball twice when they fumble it 0 times. You're going to lose that game. And to me, Arkansas beat Tennessee, which a team maybe you'd say they shouldn't have beaten. But I think that they, at the same time, should have won more home games. You look at the way the season ended, they only beat Mississippi State, who won 2 games or something? And they beat Louisiana Tech, that won 5 games out of Conference USA. Those are the 2 teams that they beat in the final 6. And you think that there's going to be this rush of momentum at the end? Even Sam Pittman had said that they don't think the transfer portal is going to be a big of issue for them this year because they got more money. Now, what the university's thought process is keeping Sam Pittman is, instead of paying Sam Pittman and the assistant coaches not to coach, we're going to pay them to coach. We're going to give them the opportunity with the revenue sharing, the way things, that's going to lift them a little bit. They're going to have more money to spend on stuff. But what we're seeing is yet another exodus of players, and that is not an indication of a healthy football program when you see that many players departing. And you don't see that many players leaving Texas Tech. I mean, how's this Liberty Bowl going to look? I mean, players that you're losing that do matter. Tevis and TJ. Braylon Russell, if he does indeed leave, which I believe he is. I know that he told Mason differently, and Mason has to report that. It's his job to report it. He's following up on my report. Braylon tells him he's not leaving. He's got to report that. Hopefully he's right. Hopefully he's right. Who else? Isaiah Satania. They can go out and find another guy like Isaiah Satania, but you don't want to. The guy's from Fayetteville, Arkansas. This guy should be, him and Luke Haas should be 15 years from now coming to Fayetteville, Arkansas, waving their hand at the 20-yard line during a timeout, getting honored on the field. And that's not happening. Jalen Braxton, that one stings. Now, he didn't play this year, only 2 games. but that's a sting. Why do we have Jalen Braxton as an 88 transfer portal rating? That shouldn't be that. Anyway, Luke has stings. Nico Davier, I like Nico. They can go out and get another guy like Nico and probably will. But still, he's a guy that's going to end up at an SEC school. He's going to end up at another SEC school. You're probably going to play him this year. Luke has. You're not just going to go out and get another Luke has. I mean, there are guys out there in the portal who are as good as Luke, but it's going to be very difficult, and it's going to be a bidding war to get them. And we'll talk to Danny a little bit about some of the guys coming in. Patrick Kudus, I think, had a good year. I can't imagine Patrick Kudus had a good experience at Arkansas. He came in and played as a freshman, played out of position, was heckled, and everybody talked bad about him last year and because he's not a tackle, and then he gets hurt and he only plays in 4 games. He tells Sam Pittman he's all hog. And they're going to redshirt him by not playing a game. I'm all hog. Psych. See ya. Malachi Singleton, I think, is a promising young quarterback. Can they go out and get a good backup quarterback? Do I like KJ Jackson? Yeah, I like Malachi Singleton. I thought they should have opened up the quarterback job in this offseason and let him compete for it. Amari Wiggins can replace. Ty Washington, Varkey's Gums, replaceable, but the tight end room is so low, you would have liked to see maybe one of those guys not get kicked off the team, but obviously players do things that get them kicked off the team. So that's where things are right now. Danny, I'm coming to you, buddy. I want you to save us. Save us with some good news. Tell us it's all going to be okay. Let me see. I got a background here that I've got set up for us. Danny's going to join us live here. There we go. Add to stage. Boom. Danny.
Hey, buddy.
How's it going?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Good.
Can everybody else hear Danny West fine? I got my volume turned down a little bit on my end, so I can.
Hey, buddy, we've got some breaking news. It looks like Braylon Russell, according to Hayes Fawcett, looks like he is going to the portal.
Okay. Well, I'm not surprised by that.
No.
But, I can understand. And just, on Mason Schultz's end for reporting the other side of things.
Absolutely.
All you can do is ask the guy, what he's doing. And that's what he says he's doing. So I'm going to get us more there we go. And that's what he says he's doing. And I'm sure he wanted his moment or something like that, so anyway, Danny, tell us, they've got answers for all this stuff that's going on. I mean, 20, 21, 22 players, I guess now. Is that right?
Well, thank you for having me. It was good to talk to you.
Palmer, and you are.
I'll tell you what. All right, let's start with some of these transfers. New offers going out today, Trey. Sorry, I've got a lot to keep up with here. Going out as we speak. Rayon Strader, cornerback from Miami, Ohio. He was number 13, 6 foot, 182 sophomore, originally from Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
Just offered him within the last few minutes here. Got a wide receiver, DT Sheffield at North Texas, 5'10", 170 junior out of Corinth, Mississippi. So another wide receiver there he had. And guys, these are brand new to me too, so I'm learning on the go here. But he had 66 grabs for 822 yards. Trey Biddy, 11 touchdowns this past year. Started out at Washington State, and that's DT Sheffield. And then moving on here, Trey, we got Tyler Mercer. Another new offer just went out. Another North Texas guy, 6'4", 290, originally from Prosper, Texas. So you would think Mateos might have a little bit of a tie with some of these guys at North Texas. Obviously, they've already offered a kid from Baylor this morning as well. I don't have his name written down. I'm sorry, that's not an offer, but they will be hosting an offensive lineman from Baylor here pretty soon. Obviously, Eric spent a few years down at Baylor, so I'll get that name to you in just a second, buddy.
Yeah. Danny West joining us. I was just looking at all the stuff on the reactions, Danny, on Braylon Russell, just another guy. Like, you lose your 2 starting guards, and they've got Keyshawn Blackstock, obviously, they'll have, I guess. Who knows what'll happen? I have not heard anything on it. In fact, Danny, the only thing that I've heard so far that's been wrong on my sources, which are pretty good, on who to be prepared for entering the transfer portal. Again, these are 2 sources, not employed by the U of A. But the U of A's never told me like, hey, this guy's entering, you know.
Sure.
But the two sources I have are pretty damn good, and on both different spectrums of everything.
Mhm.
My two best sources, I should say. So the only thing they've been wrong on so far is Selman Bridges. That was the only one I said, hey, you know, you can go ahead and get something prepared for him announcing he's returning. Every other one has been the opposite. Has been, you know, spot on. So I had not heard on Braylon Russell one way or the other until this morning when I reported that. And I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that's big. I think I posted the other day we were caught up on the guys that I'd heard. I didn't hear either way on Nico Davier, but everybody else I've been told one way or another that they were going to enter the portal or they were going to return to Arkansas. And there's still good news coming on some guys returning to Arkansas. But right now it just seems like the only news you get is bad news, a guy saying he's coming back. There's no reprieve with a bunch of guys coming in. Just
yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Not yet anyway, right? I think there will be some guys, Trey, that probably excite people at some point. You know, they're going to get some SEC guys. They've got a little money to spend.
Yeah.
By default now, right? I mean, guys leave. Somebody's got to take the money. So, and they will. They'll get a few guys that will probably excite people, and then some that, you know, probably won't. So,
Danny, I mean, you can get some Anthony Switzers and stuff out there that are good players for you that maybe not be next level guys that can help you win. They had enough to win 8 games this year, in my opinion, and didn't get it done, in my opinion. But like last year, that, you know, Xavier Sori was a big get for him. Mm-hmm. Fernando Carmona was a big get for him. Jaquindon Jackson, you know, Taylon Green. Some people have different opinions on Taylon, but you know, like who else? I'm leaving somebody out. And Anton Junkaj was considered a really big get. I don't think he really had the season that we thought he could have. But they went out and got guys last year that were notable players. Stephen Dix, I think, was a good player for him. So that'll happen again. It's just a matter of will it happen enough, because the narrative has been from the University of Arkansas, at least my sources connected to that have been that this is got to be what they're thinking with keeping Sam. Like, okay, revenue sharing is going to lift, you know, everything up to where it's a more equal, even playing field. NIL apparently isn't changing that much, even though I've had people tell me, but I asked Sam Pittman, it's like, hey, I hear, you know, people tell me NIL is getting better. And he's like, no, it's not. But the revenue sharing should lift them up. And I think maybe there's an idea also that they would donate more of that revenue sharing to football than basketball, because basketball is basically taking care of itself. You know, the number I've heard is like $9 million for the basketball team and $6 million for football. So if you could allocate, you know, I think most teams will probably allocate most of the money towards football. But if you could do a little bit more than half, you know, to kind of make up for that discrepancy that you have with NIL, maybe that would be get you on more of a level playing field. But that doesn't excuse the attrition they've had. I mean, there's 11 guys there that are leaving that you don't want to see leave.
That's right. Got that name for you, buddy. Alvin Ibasale.
You nailed it.
I was hoping so.
Y'all know Danny got that right.
Ibasale. I feel pretty good about it. We'll check with Mateos, but I feel pretty good. That's the Baylor offensive tackle. Currently plans to visit Arkansas, Houston, KU, and Minnesota, according to Matt Zennett's 24/7 Sports.
Yeah.
All right, so Trey, a few other offers I failed to mention there. Some that went out earlier, you know, a couple weeks ago even. Let's talk about Zach Adkins, the tight end from Northwest Missouri State, 6'3", 240. You know, he graduated high school at like 6 foot 190, and that was 2 years ago. So he's already, you know, he's hit a growth spurt. He's got 2 years left. Not a ton of production at Northwest Missouri State, which I want to say is in Maryville, just south of St. Joe. Anyway, you got a lot of competition there. Ole Miss, Kentucky, South Kakalaki, Illinois, Duke, North Kakalaki, LSU, Colorado, Pitt, and he'll be in tomorrow for a visit, as well as Raylan Sharp, wide receiver out of Fresno State. A little bit of smaller guy, 5'9", 165. Played for Bobby Petrino at Missouri State. And you got competition in North Texas and East Carolina so far. So he's got 1,821 career receiving yards and 11 touchdowns. So he's a teammate former teammate now with Jalen Moss, a fellow wide receiver at Fresno, 6'1", 175, 25 career games. He's got over 1,200 career yards.
What happened to that boom arm, Danny? I thought you got a boom arm for that.
Yeah, I got one.
Okay. Oh, you got it vertical style. So I went wide. Yeah. All right. Different strokes. So, Danny, the question too, is the prices for these players seem to have gone up. I mean, some of the stuff that I hear circulated out there about what some of the kids that are leaving Arkansas or what's being floated to them is astronomical versus last year. Maybe a kid who made $100,000 last year might be thinking they can get $400,000 out on the open market or more. So some of the numbers out there, you have to balance if you're Arkansas, is this worth it with our budget right now, to pay a, whatever positional player. I think that's a big deal too. It is gone. And I think part of that's revenue sharing. It's kind of when minimum wage goes up, everything else costs
more. When is that going up, by
the
way? I'd like to find out about that.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Okay, well, there's influx of $20 million for everybody. I think my price just went up. I think that's part of it too.
Yeah, man. It's wild. It's disappointing. It's all new, and I can't get used to it, buddy. I mean,
it's a terrible schedule. Nobody likes this. I've always said this. You have to protect the fans. There are people who are always yeah, you got to take care of the players. Of course, there are just several aspects to this, body. There's the players. There's the staff and the administration. There's the integrity of the game. There's the fans. And once you poop on the fans, then everything starts to spiral out. We've seen it happen before. If you don't think a sport can nosedive, look at what used to be popular back before I was born. It was the main things were horse racing, boxing, and baseball. Those were the top sports. Football, basketball, baseball, I guess, are probably the top things now. But look what's happened to boxing compared to UCF. I assume UCF is more popular. I see it everywhere. I don't see boxing anywhere except for Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson.
That was awesome, wasn't it?
But if you think that you have something that's not ever going to go away, I assure you, you're wrong on that. You have to protect how the fans feel about their sport. And the thing that's messed up about it is it can be fixed. There's not another sport out there that just has an off season during the season, which is what we're doing right now. The season, in my opinion, with the bowl game still remaining, is still going on. And it's been this way for a while with coaches getting fired. There was a time where coaches would get fired after the bowl game. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. I mean, it's been a couple decades. But now it's you got the mid-season firing at the end of the season, of course, that happens. But with the way the calendar is, I mean, you've got signing day in the middle of the football season. You've got transfer portal opening in the middle of the football season. I mean, there's college football playoff games still to be played. You've got all this stuff going on in the middle of the season. And also we've got this thing called NIL, which is not NIL. It's pay for play. And you're telling people that this is name, image, and likeness. And that's not what it is at all. We're paying players to go to a certain school. There's tampering going on at every school. I assume Arkansas, I look from, kind of outside in on Arkansas. So I know more about that side of it versus inside out. So I don't know, if Arkansas is tampering. I assume that they are, though, because everyone is. Everyone is tampering. And if it's not directly through a coach, it's, through representatives and stuff like that. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
What, Danny?
There's a million different routes they can take to tamper.
Oh yeah. A million.
And it can be totally made up. They just fabricate it. And
well, you don't know because nothing's officially reported. The only thing you know is like you hire a coach from another school and he's like, yeah, we offered this kid this much. I mean, that's the best intel you can get. College football and college sports in general is the least regulated sport out there. And it's unfortunate because I think it's going to have its day where like it's really impacted by that. Now the season gets closer and everybody gets excited again and everybody says I'm done. Like people said they were done last year and the season gets there and the next thing I know, people are the same people who are probably calling me a mouthpiece or saying that I'm a homer or all this kind of stuff or I'm not doing my job by not demanding for Sam Pittman's head are probably the same people who were telling me that this wasn't last year and that I was wrong for predicting 5-7 or stuff like that. And I've got screenshots of all that. But yeah, it's unfortunate, Danny, because I feel like it can be fixed. It's so unregulated that I don't know how you put it back in at this point. But
well, I'm going to disagree with you. I don't think it can be fixed.
Yeah, I think
you can do things to contain and maybe slow down a little bit and maybe dissuade some of these people from just outright lying. But
yeah,
right now that's where it's at, and you can just lie about it and say, "Hey, they offered me this. I'm gonna go over there." And there's nothing to keep you from that. But the end result for a lot of these guys, and I hate it, they're gonna believe that number and follow it, and it ain't gonna be there.
Oh yeah, that's gonna happen a lot, Danny. There's a lot of kids that are getting lied to right now. It's not good for the student athlete. Remember when this was like, it's good. Coaches get to leave anytime they want. Well, coaches don't. Good coaches do. And that's the same with these players. Good players get to, but the average college football player, there's not a place for you here. I mean, like you can go kick it on down to Division II or something like that. Like you're not the guy that was like made his grades, was a good scout team player that contributed on special teams throughout his career. That guy's done. Yeah, he doesn't exist anymore. You eventually get removed from the program, put in a transfer portal, and most of the guys never even come out. They just looking for the next great players. So it's a disservice to the players overall. Some guys make tons of money, yeah, but guys that are going to make tons of money eventually anyway, for the most part, because they're going to the NFL.
Wish I had more for you, buddy.
Well, we're just on here bitching, Danny.
Yeah.
That's all we got to do. So anyway, Arkansas playing in the Liberty Bowl. I booked my hotel. I'm going to go to that.
You going?
Well, yeah, I've never missed a bowl game since I've been doing this. Can't just not go.
Might be a good year.
Even though I'm not sure how Simmons Bank Liberty Bowl Stadium, is that what they call it? Liberty Stadium. It's under construction. There's only like 30,000 seats. They demolished the press box. They've got all these plans. $100 million plans to renovate. So I'm not even sure what the stadium is going to look like for the bowl game. Memphis has been terrible for weather when I've been there. It was 14 degrees in that 2009 game. Last time, 2 years ago, Danny, I got to my hotel and they were like, yeah, there's no water. And I was like, there's no water? It's like, yeah. No water.
We've had that before in Dallas together. You remember that one?
Oh yeah, yeah. The La Quinta. Yeah. But Danny, like when I got up there and I was like, y'all could have told me. I just drove all the way from Fayetteville here. Yeah. And they're like, it's not my fault. And you know how many people told me it's not my fault?
Yeah.
I had to go book a hotel somewhere else where they did have water, like across the street. They did have water. Tom Murphy got sick, I think, from accidentally drinking it when it got cut because there was like a boil, whatever. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it's been interesting trips to Memphis for me, but I can't see Arkansas having success in this game, and they're going to get opportunities to practice with the young players. But there's so many of the key guys that you would think are going to be important players for you who are gone. I don't know. It all feels a little hopeless.
Tell me about it.
We'll see what they bring in, but I mean, I can't everywhere I look, I'm just like, oh wow, look at this, look at it, I'm just distracted on all the stuff that's going on the screens in front of me right now.
Same. Yeah.
So, I mean, Danny, you and I both knew, like, coming into this transfer portal, it was going to be all bad news. The roller coaster is going down. But it's worse. It's worse than I thought. I think it's worse than Sam Pittman thought it was going to be.
No doubt about it.
Even he said that, like, it's not going to be a big a deal for us because we got money now. Well, it looks like it.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, old boy.
Yeah, who are they going to get, Danny?
Yeah.
Tell us about some of these recruits.
Yeah, a couple more I failed to mention there. Eli Sanders, running back out of New Mexico. He's 5'11", 194. He's got a year left. 1,766 yards, 13 touchdowns. That's for a career, I want to say. That's a lot of rushing yards.
Yeah. Competition
is Arizona, Michigan State, Memphis, Stanford, Oklahoma State, and Virginia Tech. Obviously, Arkansas has plenty of needs there now. I'm sure you talked about Jaquindon. And
I don't know if I mentioned Jaquindon, but for those who don't know, he's accepted the East-West Shrine Bowl. I don't know if that means he's not – I don't know if that means he's not playing the bowl game, but I'm going to guess he's not playing the bowl game. Same with Andrew Armstrong when he declared for the NFL draft, which he doesn't have any eligibility left. Yeah. I love Andrew, but that's an interesting trend of guys without eligibility. But I assume he was also just –
I don't blame him one bit, Trey.
No, I can't. You can't blame him for not playing in the Liberty Bowl. What they ought to do, Danny, I think, is bump these bowl games to week 0 of next year. Let the next team play. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, nobody, like, what is it? Arkansas this is not a representation of Arkansas's football team. What's going to show up? Like, you might as well just play next year's, I mean, I think the expanded playoff is good for college football overall because the bowl games were already headed this direction. Mm-hmm. And in this way you get more players, like players that otherwise would have opted out of these other 8 bowl games are all going to play now. Not going to play in a college football playoff game, but you would have had mass exodus of what otherwise used to be really good bowl games, and now they are again. So you've got the good bowls are protected, but the lower tier bowls like Liberty, there's no protection for them.
Yep. I'll wrap you up with this one, Trey Biddy.
Right.
David Blay, defensive lineman out of Louisiana Tech. I guess we saw him a few weeks ago, didn't we? He had 5 tackles, couple tackles for loss. I want to say he had a sack. 6'4", 303, got a year left. 61 tackles this season. Illinois, Coach B's after him. Wisconsin, Coach B's old program. Mississippi State, Michigan State, Tulane, and Houston so far. He was 6'2", 280 a year ago, and he's 6'4", 303 now. So not sure what's up with that. Originally from Pennsylvania, and I think this is a guy that could probably get on campus for a visit. It wouldn't surprise me if they move forward with this one pretty quickly.
Okay.
We saw that with Kiwi Rose, who's headed out now, coming from down there. So maybe this is another one that could
Kiwi Rose out of eligibility, by the way.
Sure.
Not headed out, but
maybe help you fill in those spots for Kiwi and EG.
Yeah. I feel like you're just leaving me to the wolves here because I'm about to go to questions.
Have at it, buddy.
All right.
I'll let you handle that one.
All right. Appreciate you, Danny.
Yeah, man.
All right, buddy. All right, everybody. That's Danny West. Follow Danny at Danny West 24/7, HawgSports recruiting analyst. Does a great job and is a busy man this time of year with all the transfer portal stuff going on. So I want to tell you about our friends at Ozark Go. I forgot to mention them, so I'm going to do an extra Ozark Go. I owe them one. But our friends over at Ozark Go, be sure if you haven't given them a shot, just go test it out. Go to ozarksgo.net/hog, enter the promo code Biddy1, and you can get a free month of internet service if you're not a subscriber. Or you can reach out to them at 479-684-4900. Offer several different tiers of internet service. I use the gigabit. No, I use the multi-gig. So I've got over 1,000 megabits per second. I'm not even sure how fast that goes, but The bandwidth of it is phenomenal. We never have issues with it. I've never had to unplug it and replug it in over 3.5 years now of using the service. Before they even reached out to me to use it, I decided I was going to give them a shot. So you should too. Give ozarksgo.net/hog a try. 479-684-4900, where you will talk to someone who is local. Arkansas has a basketball game. We're going to go to your questions. Let's see what the line is on Bet Saracen. I'm guessing Arkansas. I don't know. +2. +2.5. Let's see. Bet Saracen says. Where is it? I'm on basketball. Up. Arkansas is +4. I was way off. All right. Let's see what your questions are. I'm sure this is just beautiful. Just one great question after another, one inspiring comment. Hey, just wait and see how it plays out, Trey. And yeah, okay, let's wait and see how it plays out. Like I said, Arkansas is down to like 70 right now, scholarship players. So that's 15 spots they got to fill. 10 of those guys are replaceable. Okay, that's important to note. It's the ones that you don't want to see enter the portal, like losing Poop Hall last year, or Jaheim Thomas, like they did, like losing Luke Haas, losing the Metcalf brothers, Braylon Russell. Braylon Russell should have run through his career at Arkansas as an Arkansas kid and ended up here. So, I mean, same with Luke Haas. Luke Haas has every reason to stay at Arkansas. Think about this. Luke Haas is engaged to a young lady who is from Fayetteville, and not just from Fayetteville, but our parents, obviously from Fayetteville, her grandparents, her great-grandparents. Her family, his family is Razorback people. Her family is Razorback people. He has like every reason to stay here, and he's still leaving, and probably going to go to an SEC team that Arkansas will face. Adrian Nakarama, I don't know, no announcer for a presser. So Sam Pittman had hip surgery, as we know. I thought it was ambitious of him to schedule a Wednesday press conference on National Signing Day. I still thought that he would hold a press conference maybe the next day, and didn't. I think that was a miss. I think they should have done that. I'd like to see more Sam Pittman press conference. I'd like to see a Hunter Yurachek press conference. Last time Hunter Yurachek did a press conference was introducing John Calipari. Like, I think during times like this, like I don't think it's a bad idea to try to connect with fans instead of just remaining radio silent. And this is something that hasn't happened to me before, but we had a teleconference with the Liberty Bowl. I wasn't going to say anything, but the audio's out there and people have talked about it and asked me on air about it, but I was just going to leave it alone. But, you know, Pittman's on there and they instruct, you know, we're just going to take questions about the Liberty Bowl. You know, please hold off on any other questions. So this is the first time we've had Sam. And so the second question I asked was, hey, you know, you've lost several of your top wide receivers to the transfer portal. You've lost your two starting guards. Can you just talk about the difficulties of overcoming that? You know, and also like Andrew Armstrong to the NFL at the time. The opposite, you know, the difficulty of overcoming that, how you replace those players with a depleted roster going into this game. And Sam started to answer the question, and then the moderator interjected and said, we're not taking questions like that today. And I said, well, it's about the roster going into the Liberty Bowl game. It's like, yeah, we're not taking those. We're not interested in those kind of questions, which I thought was a bad look on them. I mean, it's not like I was asking something really inflammatory. I was just asking about the roster, but yeah, I was just completely shut down on that question. Whatever. I mean, that's how you want to run your press conferences, by silencing us. That's fine, but I just thought that was ridiculous. And I thought it was a bad look because that audio's out there. My source just says, look like you were right on Russell. Yeah. All right. Let's see what else. This Rusty Henry says he's kind of had Pittman's back until now, but he has to go. It's not my job to say whether a coach should be hired or fired. I just more along the lines lay out what I think is the standard for Arkansas sports, and it's not going 4-8 and 6-6 in back-to-back seasons. It's just not. I did not think that 6-6 going into this year would be good enough to say. Even Rick Schaefer, who is generally a very positive person, middle of the season, he's like, I think he needs to win 7. Rick Schaefer even. So I just didn't see, and it's not that like, it's nothing against Sam Pittman as a person or anything. I like Sam, and people know that. I've said that several times. It's just the environment that is created by going 6-6. Like if they'd have gone, if they'd had maybe a little bit better year last year and went 6-6, then okay, I guess I understand. It's not anything somebody should be happy about. But going 4-8 and then acting like 6-6 is this big turnaround, job-saving season, that fans aren't going to buy that stuff. They're just not. I mean, they're just not. I mean, people aren't stupid, mostly. There are some. I'm not talking about you, Ozzy. I don't think you're stupid. I didn't say that. Kind of liking my exchanges with Ozzy Maverick, as much as I hate to say that. He's so bizarre. Okay. The lack of respect Hunter and Sam are showing the fans giving no information. I mean, like, if there's a rumor out there that's so like salacious, the rule is you don't address it. You don't give that rumor any credence. I don't think it would be the worst thing to have a delayed press conference from Sam and talk about where things are, how the transfer portal is, those kinds of things. The state of the program. And then it's coming. I mean, like they're not going to not have a Liberty Bowl press conference like that's run by Arkansas. But I don't think it would be the worst idea. And I'm sure Kyle Parkinson's probably on that, I would think. I mean, Kyle does, I think, a really good job putting out information and scheduling those things. Just at the same time, like it's just a different age, I guess. I don't think that connecting with Arkansas fans when everything seems like it's in panic mode and just going radio silent by Yurachek and Sam, I don't think that's the right way to do things at this point. And we knew that this was going to be like this. We knew it was going to be a roller coaster. It has been worse. You can't lose, some of your promising young players like Braylon Russell and Selman Bridges, Tevis Metcalf, even slightly older players like TJ Metcalf, and just one after another like that. And you've got some good guys coming back. Like it's not like, Cam Ball, that's a big guy to get back. Those will be the hardest players to get in the transfer portal is a defensive tackle. So when you got a guy that could have left and probably would make pretty good money in the transfer portal on the open market, staying, that's good. I think that there'll be other good players that leave. There may be another. I've heard people talk about a potential another splash guy entering the transfer portal from Arkansas. We'll see that. I haven't heard that directly. I've heard other people who have been right on things suggest that. So, but we'll see. I haven't not been told that particular piece of information directly. Landon Montgomery says, Trey, I know you said be ready for this, but it feels way worse than the last. I mean, it was not good last year, but this has been worse, in my opinion. This has been worse than and I entered it pretty calm. I'm like, oh, yeah, they're going to lose some guys. And they lost, the first couple of notable guys. When they lost Luke Cass, like, ooh, that one stings. But, first couple of notable guys, you're like, that was going to happen. It's going to happen everywhere. But it just kept going and going. Honest question: why would Arkansas players want to come and stay with Arkansas in the current situation? Arkansas players, these guys want money. Like, let's not just act like it's all on Sam. Now, some of it may be. Some of them may feel like this is not an environment for me. Who knows exactly what's going on with the locker room? This isn't the right. I don't like the way things are trending. I don't like the environment. It feels toxic with the fans. this isn't where I want to play my college football. I'm sure that there's some guys that feel like that. But let's not be fooled into thinking that if Arkansas didn't come up with so many hundreds of thousands of dollars for some of these guys that are entering the transfer portal, that they wouldn't stay at Arkansas. Because if you don't think that, then you're naive. This comes down to a lot of guys for money. It's money. I would tell a lot of these players too, here's some free advice for you young players out there that just made $300,000. Okay? It's not $300,000. It's not even $200,000. Okay? Uncle Sam's going to take his part. He's going to take about 40% of that. Is that right? Is that the number? He's going to take about 40% of that money from you. Okay? You're going to pay somebody else. You're going to help out mom and dad. Everybody's going to want a little piece. And you're going to do that. And you're going to be left with not a lot of money. Okay? The answer to do with this money is not to go out and buy a Corvette. The answer is not to go buy, a bunch of crap you don't need and a bunch of jewelry. That's not the answer to do with your money. You go buy a house if you want. Buy a house. That's not a bad investment. A car is a terrible investment. Okay. And the odds are, I know everybody thinks this is just going to continue. The odds are this is some of the biggest money that you'll make. And you got it at a chance to do, you got it at an opportunity to make this money when you're young. And most people don't have that. What you need to do with that money, in my opinion, telling people what to do with their money again, invest it. Stock market. Run what's the interest rate calculator and figure out what, if you put $100,000 in the bank in the stock market, what that's going to do by the time you reach retirement age. Like, you can do basically whatever you want. If you put that money in when you're 21 years old, run the math on it or have somebody else do it for you. Don't touch it. And you know what? If the stock market tanks and crashes, everybody's screwed. It's not just you. If the market goes down, everybody goes down. So it's a win-win. So if you've got that kind of money you made from NIL, do that with it. That would be my recommendation. I'm not a licensed broker, or this is not to be taken as financial advice. So this is for entertainment purposes only. So talk to a professional. Where does Braylon Russell think he's going? I don't know. This happened during the show while I was on, but Braylon Russell is going to garner interest from major college football programs and probably other SEC programs. And there's a good chance that you see him, before his career is over, playing for the other team. We deserve to know why homegrown athletes are leaving. I agree. I think communication with the fans is a good thing. Call me crazy. I think feeling connected with your football program and not feeling like you're an outsider and you're just going to have to wait. That's my opinion. And maybe that's like where I think Arkansas Edge tries to do things like that, where they try to get people involved and with the program and feel a more sense of a connection with the team. But to me, these are things that are kind of going away, and it's not just at Arkansas. It's the landscape of college football. I mean, it wasn't that long ago where we were doing press conferences with anybody that we requested, going to all the practices, and there was just a wealth of information to be put out there. And now it's just a little bit more controlled. That's not on Arkansas. That's college football in general. I would like to see things change a little bit. I would like to see more of an embrace. I would like to see it's us, right? It's not them and we cheer for them. It's us. That's where, I don't know. Maybe that's just pie in the sky stuff now. Trey, are you about to enter the transfer portal too? I can't. And that's where you are taken advantage of in a way as a fan, because you were born into this. It's ingrained into you. Like, it's part of you. You cannot just drop your team. And that's what's like so frustrating. And I've mentioned this before, like your kids, your sports team, it's like, why is it that different than what everything else seems to be? Maybe your relationship with God, those types of things Yeah, even people fall off on that. I mean, like, but for whatever reason, the point is, whatever it is that binds you to your football or your basketball or your college, whatever that is almost impossible to break. And you almost feel like you're taken advantage of in that sense. I am anxious to see what Arkansas does on the other side of this, because the transfer portal stuff will slow down and stop, and they'll start bringing players in. And I want to see what's out there. Like we said, Fernando Carmona, that was a good day. Xavier Sori, Quentin Jackson, these were good news days when that information came out. So we'll see. And I'm not seeing anything other than basically what everybody says, but what is notable in these comments is it's everybody. It's not. I think it's interesting also too that, like, people talk to me. Like, I had a caller yesterday, I think JD. You said this and you said that. I was like, no, I'm reporting that. It's not an endorsement. Like, we all feel the same here. And I think it's interesting that, like, people, even fans, will argue with each other when they both feel the same way about the subject, and they're arguing with each other, and people argue with me like I did something to try to tell them that everything's going to be great. Every bit of evidence out there is not that. But everybody wants to point to somebody, and that's fine. I mean, people can do what they want. It's a free country, they say. Trey, here's one. Trey's got to stay employed. He's going to say whatever they want him to. So this person, I'm sure they're in whatever area of life they're fine, but as far as their knowledge of what's going on, they're a moron. So here's what is truth. Again, I'm not going to repeat what I said I thought was going to happen at the beginning of the season. Okay. Which was not too far off, aside from Sam Pittman's being retained. So where this guy's wrong is, it would benefit me great. This is real talk here. It would benefit me if Arkansas had a coaching change, because anybody who has been on our side over the years knows nobody covers a coaching change like we do. We have fun with it. It's highs and lows, roller coaster, but it's fun. We make it fun. We make it informative. We even keep a spot for the rumor mill, just for that topic. We identify that stuff, but we have a good time with it. We sell a ton of subscriptions. We have a couple million page views a day. Like, traffic goes through the roof, record-setting stuff. We grow a lot. It would be good for the site to have that kind of stuff. The other way that we benefit and grow and see a lot of traffic and see a lot of new subscribers, the coaching changes like this usually, like decline, traffic, subscriptions, and then it goes more steep like that when there's a change, because there's hope, and there's like, what's going to be the new coach. A winning program is more like this, just kind of a steady incline, growth, readership, all that stuff. That's the ticket. That's what we want. Winning program. We don't want coaching changes. We want this. And for my mental health, good Lord, mental health, winning program, covering a winning team, real interest. That's where we see continued growth, not just like an incline that's steady up. We see continued growth. This is some insight in how things really work for those who really understand. Like, the idea that the university would revoke a media credential for me over opinions or line of questions is just ridiculous. These are professionals. They understand how things work. If I were doing things to like try to sabotage the university, like really vile stuff, like, things like that, that might do it. Like trying to undermine and sabotage and, like going around them constantly to, do interviews with players and stuff like that, that because, they do want you to go through them. We respect that avenue of it. But like that might get credentials revoked. What else? Like cheering in the press box. There's been people that get kicked out of the press box for cheering. That's a huge no-no. That kind of stuff. But like asking a tough line of question, and like credentials, like if I lost my credentials, that would suck. I would not be I want to be able to cover the team, but like that's not going to be the biggest thing that impacts me in a negative way. The worst place that you can be if you're in my business, the worst place is barely holding on, because that's just this. It's just, that's where it goes. It's just constantly. And once you hit the point of no return, there's no bounce back. Having said all that, if I were to frame the narrative in a way that benefits me and our site, that would make me, in my opinion, a piece of crap. Somebody who's disingenuous, somebody who can't be trusted, somebody you could see straight through. I'm not going to change how I think the team should be covered based on whether or not it's good for subscription sales or traffic. That's just, I think that's what's happening in media and stuff that's more important than sports in this world. That's not how I'm going to operate. I'm going to operate, I'm going to try to be fair and balanced. And this is how I see things right now. And it just is. So like the idea of this guy who's just naive, I got to stay employed, I'm going to say whatever they want me to. This is ridiculous. This is a ridiculous statement and it's been said for, 20 years since I've been doing this. People have said this kind of stuff. It's just, it's ignorance. I'm sorry. I don't mean to call you ignorant, but you have no idea what you're talking about. It doesn't mean you're stupid. I didn't say you're stupid. I just said you don't know what you're talking about. TJ Metcalf can't really replace as a top 10 safety. TJ Metcalf, I think, is going to be tough to replace. I like Tevis, too. I think Tevis has a real good future. All right. We've gone about an hour now. And I think the only thing that's happened is Braylon Russell became official. Again, like, I just want to say this too. Mason Show, he used to work for me. He was an intern for me. I think he does a good job. Like, people try to make it as a battle, like a source off and stuff. And that's not what it is at all. I mean, like, I put that report out there. He's following up to try to confirm it, which is what you do instead of, like so many people out there, just take what people write and put it out there and pass it off as your own. He's actually going and doing the work and trying to follow up with Braylon. And Braylon says, no, I'm not leaving. So, and you can say Braylon's a liar or whatever. What he's basically doing is he wanted to have his moment and do his Hayes Fawcett graphic thing that he's entering the portal, make a big splash of it and all that kind of stuff. So, he probably should have just not answered. Probably would have been the right thing on Braylon's part. Because he didn't have to answer. But I don't think that, like, people should come down on Mason, and I'm sure they would have come down on me if Mason's, stuff was right. But, he's just doing what else can you do? You go ask the kid, and that's what he says. And so you report it. So that's just how things are. It wouldn't be the first time that somebody told somebody that something they wanted to hear or something that wasn't totally true. All right. I wanted to just mention one more time before we go off. I actually don't think I've mentioned it, but it's been, Bob Holt was a good guy and, gone too soon. Bob, I don't know what else to say about him. I wrote a big piece about him, but there's so much I could go on forever. I think he was, like, really misunderstood by a lot of people, by fans who just thought that he was asking a bunch of ridiculous questions when really he was just trying to get details for a story he's writing, and he didn't care that there was a video being produced that people were watching. He was going to write a story. The guy never ran out of questions, never offended, and never got defensive. He was just, he just had a different kind of mind. Like me, like, it's, I try to take things in stride, but eventually somebody will say something that'll piss me off. I don't know that Bob ever got pissed. He showed up every single day. Every day I saw him, and he was the exact same person every single day. Like, people know how I feel. I wear I think it's my face or something. I don't know. I think sometimes I appear happier than I am or madder than I am just by my facial expressions. Um, but Bob was just the same dude every day. And I'll tell you what, I wake up and I think about it, and I was like, it just doesn't seem real. So anyway, Bob was a good guy, and he was just a good guy. There's no other, like, people say that about people when they pass away, nothing bad about them. But like, guys, I'm just telling you, this guy, there was nothing bad to say about him. I mean, other than he annoyed people with his questions, he was a good dude. All right, everybody, I'm going to cut it out. That's where things are with the transfer portal. And, we'll see how things bounce back on the other end. But that's where things are. All right, everybody. Appreciate you joining me. This has been Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com. We'll catch you next time.